BLOCKCHANCE 2021.
Now I'm happy to announce Kristijan Glibo. He is the founder and co-founder and CEO of Beyondi and is in blockchain space since 2014. He's interested in innovation and new models for decentralized economy. He's delivering secure, meta-driven and production-ready blockchain solutions. He said money is coined liberty, and now he will talk about collaboration frameworks for independent business processes with blockchain technologies. Please welcome. It's your stage now.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. So, my name is Kristijan, as you already know. I come from Croatia, and I speak mostly about how to use blockchain in collaboration business processes, which is actually everything what we already do. And crypto is just one application of it. But the future, I think, is will be a bit different, where we will have first implication, like the colleague mentioned earlier, on EPSI infrastructure, for example, in Europe. So let's start with how I see that we need to implement and what we need to do to make this blockchain technology really works for us and to mitigate all the obstacles. So what is the process? Process is actually a series of actions or steps taken in some order to achieve a particular end. Everything what we do now in our private life or business life is a process. In engineering, it's interrelated tasks which shape some inputs to given outputs. And with the new era, the processes will be more complex. We see here that with Industry 4.0, that knowledge will accelerate so fast that IBM prediction is like 12 hours of multiplication. And with that, we must understand that our processes will be even more complex, and they will be even more harder to control, to have them under compliance and regulation. So these are the problems. Legislation and legal acts, they are hard to implement. And they make processes intensive, expensive, and more humans are required at the moment to be the part of it. Because we do not share the common view, and we do not share the procedures, we do not share the states, we do not share the data and the context, we have a limited supervision, and we do not have collaboration. So that gives us unauthorized actions and unauthorized access in our stakeholding systems, which eventually give us slowness and no response at all on some critical events which happen. The great example is current COVID situation. For example, I traveled for the last 2 weeks, and I needed to do the I think passenger travel and locator form or something like that. I did it for about 5 times, and I think only once they checked me actually at the airport. So why is that? Because it's difficult to governance something if you do not share the common view, if you are not using the same stakeholding stack. So this is then how we actually work already. We already are interdependent. We already collaborate, at least we think, because this is how our systems, how our companies, how we actually do the thing with the modern technology. We are not connected at all. We just digitize the paper. So and we do not have the unique identities. We do not have anything about self-executing contracts or procedures. What we do, we automate something what is in our stack, but without any possibility to automate interdependent process where we have multiple stakeholders. So this is how I see the solution from the side of thinking, because for me, blockchain is not something what's new. It's already proven methods, peer-to-peer network. It's cryptography. It's a methodology which is used to make something what will reset the internet we know. So joint process engineering, what that means? It means literally that we everything what we do, we need to think about how to connect our processes, how to make them interdependent, how to make them capable to share data where we are not the only stakeholder. And for that, we need independent intermediary. That's the technology itself. We need something what we can use to trust it from source, to trust the immutability of it, and to be sure that it's not changed until it comes to our end. And I use one principle, which we call in compilation of the code, it's called just-in-time. Just-in-time, and I use it to explain just-in-time compliance. Just-in-time compliance is something what comes with the blockchain as a technology. It's literally a compliance which happens in the time when the process is executed. What we do now, we do compliance based on the history. We do the past compliance. We synchronize between us manually. How I see that we need to move forward in this more interconnected world is to use just-in-time compliance. With that, if we use that, we can shape the business models and have the shared governance. Of course, when you look all of this, it's not something new. It's a blockchain. It's literally a blockchain where we have system participants, replicated copy of database, and where we have the system which we use to share and to connect already centralized information systems in a bigger consortium and a network. But there is a trick, and this is where it comes and what I want to explain even more. This is the collaboration framework, and it's not something what I invented. It's something what I found out in one PhD dissertation from 2008, when there was no Bitcoin, when there was no blockchain. A couple of PhD professors from Institute in Padua actually started shaping the collaboration framework and how we need to work, how we need to collaborate within our information systems. And they constantly used a term decentralization, distribution, distributed systems. So they didn't know anything about blockchain. They just use their common sense. So what we have here, we have 3 layers of collaboration framework. The first one is business strategy, where we do not need to shape anything. We just need to define why we want to work together. The second one is business process engineering. How is that happening? That's happening that every company, every organization, every person has a local knowledge which he wants to protect. That's something what's internal process. And then he has a global knowledge which he wants to share for common output, for common goal. That is what happens when we do the business process engineering. We need to think about what we want to keep for ourselves, what we want to do as inputs, and what we want to give that as an output. And in the third layer, it's obvious that blockchain will be those lines which will connect components, applications and stacks into a whole, into a consortium. And when it's executed, we will know that it's executed based on something what all 3 sides, enterprise A, B, and C, actually crafted. So it will be possible to audit how we work and who has the responsibility to deliver the context, who has the responsibility to validate the context, and who has the responsibility to take the action of that context. But there is a trick. If we do not do it properly, and I learned that from my cases which I developed, there is no possibility that you can code the blockchain literally with one case in a smart contract. It's not possible at all. Why? Regulation change for some of the enterprise, you need to put down a whole network, and then you don't have the capability to run it in 95% of the runtime. So how to solve that particular problem? There is actually, again, one method which is used already in enterprise systems, and it's called event condition action methodology. So how to do that, I will explain in the slides later, but what I want you first to understand from the business architecture, we need to find the need, why we want to work with each other. Then we need to define the events between all of us, which means basically every event starts with a trigger. What will be the trigger of our smart contracts? Then, on the condition layer, we need to define the rules, business rules, how we are going to execute smart contracts, what will be the audit rules between us, what context we need to validate, etc. And then, once the conditions are fetched with the event, those conditions trigger the actions. So, if you look from that perspective, how I see it, that we need to connect blockchain and smart contracts and rule-based engines. So there is no like specific logic in the smart contracts. We need to use centralized systems which will give us the data. We will use smart contracts to validate business rules and decision engines behind the nodes, and they will give us the context and actually the audits. So let's imagine that we have like IoT network which needs to send like some data that they found some, I don't know, fire on the street. How we are going to do that? If we specify that that always it needs to go to the fire department and the fire department is offline for a moment, we will not be aware of that. But if we put the rules, if we put the rule-based engines behind the peers, we will be able to change the rules and mitigate those risks of downtime. So this is how it would look like in the functional architecture. Blockchain is nothing else, for me and how I see it in our process management, blockchain is nothing else but the rule validation engine. Each company or organization has its process, IoT, AI, or employee who will generate some kind of context. That context will come to the blockchain. Blockchain will use the context based on some labels, found the rules which are already deployed and defined by the all stakeholders, and see what he needs to trigger. Then, if he found that context needs to go to the organization 1, he will give the context to the organization 1. Organization 1 will be able to run the internal procedures. Then, what happened next? The output will be given back in the blockchain, which will be then sent to the organization 3, etc., etc. So what I want you to understand, it's not about let's build a smart contracts where we will put everything on a blockchain, where we will do like some specific use case. For example, we use the food sampling. In the Ministry of Agriculture in Croatia. It's based on the European Food Safety Association. We didn't want to use anything specific. We literally deployed already, I think it's called rules, a rule engine which is used by enterprise companies, where is an Excel table, literally Excel table, where you define the rules, where you define the labels, and when you define the triggers. And we connected the smart contract with it over the fingerprint functions, like checksums. And once when the context landed in the blockchain knew what it needs to do. So why I want to do it? Why I want to do it by that approach? The reason is simple. I want to be audited. I do not want to have anything like what is the responsibility. I don't want to talk about that, because at the end responsibility is what we decide, between the stakeholding. But what I want to know how my output between us was generated. What were the steps to produce? So for example, if you gave someone the COVID certificate, if it went through the blockchain this way, like where the rules were validated against the certificate and how it was created, you will have all the steps to reproduce the same certificate in the safe, secured way. So what and what we actually did, we created our own platform called Orkane.io, where we literally give people a possibility to run infrastructure provisioning and to decentralize process with a rule-based engine with literally no code. There is a development toolkit ready, which you can use. It's a freemium version. We work with the colleges and universities, so feel free to check it. And then at the end, you have the smart monitoring and governance. And that's it. Thank you.
So,
BLOCKCHANCE 2021.